Hello, we are on Essay 9, Elocution, Assonance. We didn't have 9 invention arrangement lessons because they were review. And if you want to see how to teach how to conduct a review lesson, you can see that in the recording of Essay 8, Arrangement, because that was also review. Okay, we're on elocution. We're on the last essay. Congratulations. We are back to elocution, outlined essay. What did we add last time? Last time we added a metaphor, which we talked about as being a trope. Tropes and schemes are the two figures of speech we talk about always. Schemes and tropes. Schemes appeal to the senses, what we can see and hear them. Tropes appeal to the mind. They twist the mind. They twist our thinking. So last time we had a trope. Those are the only two, simile and metaphor, that are in level 1, but you'll see them expanded starting with the first lesson of level 2. And so you'll see more schemes and more tropes through level 2 and level 3, which some people call level 3 the icing of the cake, the icing on the cake. This is what everybody wants to get to in the beginning, but we have to start with level 1 and build the foundation first. So I encourage you to keep going and have some more fun with these. So last time we added a trope. This time we're back to schemes, a scheme. So let's think about the scheme of alliteration, which we learned a couple of essays ago in 4. And that was a repeated series of beginning sounds in a word, usually consonant sounds. So let's look at these examples now. Where sky, so we're thinking about repeated sounds. Where sky and water meet, where the waves grow sweet, doubt not, reap it cheap, to find all you seek, there is the utter east. C.S. Lewis, that's one of my favorites. The waves were breaking over the mainsail. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Oh, I didn't write it, but Shakespeare. Sweet and weird melodies. It's part of a line from Measure for Measure. He did ride the wild sky to see the lights collide. The crumbling thunder of seas. That's Robert Louis Stevenson. It's hot and it's monotonous. Sondheim. You can hear it better in a song. But what we're seeing in all of these, I think, or hearing probably even more, is repeated vowel sounds. In alliteration, we had repeated consonant sounds at the beginnings of words. Now we're hearing repeated vowel sounds in the middles of words. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. So we hear the E, but you notice it's not a rhyme scheme. These words do not rhyme. Sweet, cheap, seek, and east in the first one do not rhyme. Waves, breaking, main, sail, those don't rhyme. Squeaky, wheel, grease, no rhyme. Sweet, weird, melodies, no rhyme, even though we hear the E. He did ride the wild sky, lights collide, no rhymes. Crumbling thunder, no rhymes. Hot, monotonous, no rhymes. So we hear these repeated vowel sounds in the centers of words. Some are long vowels, some are short vowels, but they don't rhyme. That's the key here. If you write a list of words and they rhyme, you do not have assonance. We have a great checker for those. That's the checker. That's how we check it. If it rhymes, it's not assonance. And so your students can tell you that's what they see, and you can tell them it's called assonance. And now that we know what it is, let's learn how to make it. We'll start with a sentence from the essay. Everyone dislikes the idea of a little bit of assonance there. Dislikes the idea of being naked in public, but it doesn't really stand out at you. There are only 2 of them, and I chose the word naked, and then so I want some more long A. So I didn't write this, but we need to identify the sound that's in there that we want to repeat, and that's A, the long A. List 10 more words that contain the same long vowel sound in the middle without rhyming. And you could put rhyming words in this list, but then you can only use one because you don't want 2 words that rhyme. So you'll see I put pain and strain, both occurred to me. I can only use one of those. Play and pray, I can pick one of those, but not both because I can't have rhymes. So just brainstorm, just whatever has a long A. Shame, face, slate, change, rake. So don't necessarily have anything to do with the meaning. But I'm getting on a roll, getting those A sounds. Break, parading, pain, strain, play, pray. Okay, so then pick a few. The shame of parading naked is not a pain to face in play. So this is a serious thing. And you'll notice these words don't rhyme. This first one ends with M and then ding. And then there's a K after the A sound, then an N and pain, face, play. So I did choose pain and play, and they had rhymes in the list, but they don't have rhymes in my sentence. Shame of parading naked is not a pain to face and play. And you notice a couple of in the first literary examples, we had two that only had two of the sounds in it. But the more we have, the more emphatic it is, the more we notice it, the more we practice. And so this is what we want for our students, more than two. So here's where it landed in the essay. Well, landed where it came from. The first reason, let's read the whole paragraph. The first reason the emperor should not have paraded in his new suit is his fear. He knew he feared looking bad. Shame of parading naked is not a pain to face in play. The little boy confirmed the emperor's fears by saying he had nothing on at all. We've had that A drilled into us. I think I've heard that the long vowels add depth or weightiness more than the short vowel sounds do. And again, this is almost like Othello. It takes a few minutes to learn and then a lifetime to master. Same thing. I mean, we'll get better at this for the rest of our lives. So we can't expect our students to write these great lines the first time out. We just want to make sure they follow directions again. Again, we're checking for obedience. And then there's the rest of the essay, and that part didn't change. Again, we have no new thing for arrangement to add. So let's do it again, though. The ugly duckling was not full grown. So I checked grown. Let's look for some more. So the vowel sound in the middle of this is a long O. So we need 10 more. I said 10 to challenge myself. Moat, oak, ode, flow, blokes, no or no. I can use one of those. Hole, rope or hope. I could use one of those. Impose or float. Oh, and that rhymes with moat, so I can only use one of those. So we're talking about the ugly duckling not being full grown. He still hoped one day he'd be an oak, not knowing the holes the bad brothers imposed on his soul. So he wants to be a strong tree. He was not full grown. He still hoped one day he'd be an oak, not knowing the holes they imposed on his soul. Now that I'm editing again, I'm thinking not knowing could be improved, but there's that relentless pursuit of perfection, and we don't want to impose that on our students. We want them to obey the directions, follow directions, and work through the process. Okay, well, let's start with let's read the whole paragraph then. At the bottom, the third reason the brothers should not have ridiculed the ugly duckling is that the brothers acted in complete ignorance. The ugly duckling was not full grown. And see, this time I left it in and added more. The ugly duckling was not full grown. He still hoped one day he'd be an oak, not knowing or remembering, not knowing the holes they imposed on his soul. The brothers thought little, while the duckling grew wise. Swans mature at 3 or 4 years old, and this creature grew wiser as he grew older. So we're getting a little more rhetorically effective. It's still not up to C.S. Lewis standards, but we are having correct practice, and that's the point. In order to create assonance from the essay, we chose a sentence that needed to be more explained or emphasized. Within that sentence, we identified a word containing a long vowel sound, and it's good to point out what sound that is before we list the 10 other words with the same long vowel sound in the middle. And then we wrote a sentence that contained at least 3 stressed non-rhyming words that shared a middle long vowel sound. And stressed may not be as important this time as it was in alliteration. but make sure we have 3. And then where we replace the original sentence with a new one, or we can add the new one to the original. And like I did the second time, that's fine too. Elocution summary for the last time. At the end of this, we have end of this book. We used our elocution summary is write, rest, and rewrite. We got our main reasons in a parallel form, and then we did the writing. That was part of the writing. The rest of the writing is turn each outline line into a whole sentence. Take a break so you can see with fresh eyes in order to do your editing, or you won't be able to write as well. And so that's about quality, but that's one easy way to improve your students' quality without really even asking it of them. They'll just see it themselves. If you do this, you're teaching them to be free to see for themselves that they can see better the second time they look at the work. And that's the rewrite. Check for mistakes. We edit the sentence. We add our figures of speech. And some of the things we did were just make sure we've spelled out the word 3 and not made any other mistakes with apostrophes or punctuation grammar. We use 2 paragraphs for the introduction. The narratio is really long, so now it probably needs 2 paragraphs. You might even have 3, depending on what all's in there. 1 is probably too big because it'll be so much longer than probably double the size of any other paragraph in the essay, and we like to keep them in some kind of harmony, some kind of balance there. We had 3 paragraphs for the proof, 3 for the refutation, 1 for the conclusion. So that refutation summary is very short. It's not the same size as the other paragraphs, but it's a placeholder for us for now, for the doctoral thesis. We added 1 series of parallel words. We added verbs to create a clearer picture. We wrote the 3 main reasons in parallel form. We did that before we started. And we added antithesis, a simile, or at least we can add and practice all these things now. Antithesis, simile, alliteration, metaphor, and assonance. And now we've reached the end, but still we'll practice this. You'll practice with your students by giving them a preparation for assonance. You can ask them about long vowels. You can ask them about repeated sounds and parallelism, especially in alliteration. Show them at least 2 examples, probably need a lot more in elocution. You're going to ask them, first you're going to show them examples of what the thing is, and so they'll say what it is, and then you'll say, now we know what it is, let's use it to learn how to make it. And so then you'll teach those things, go through those steps, give examples of how to make it, and then you're going to ask them to compare the process of what you did first, second, third. Ask them to explain it. If they can explain it, they can probably practice it. Pretty sure they can. And then you'll see if they're practicing correctly. Make the adjustments, the tweaks where you need to. Bend your knee. Watch your elbow. And then you tell them, good job, good practice. You're making progress. All right. If you have questions, we're happy to talk about them. We thank you for joining us and for sticking it out to the end. Please do ask us ask your questions, give us your feedback, and we're always eager to hear it. We want to be able to serve you better and to provide materials for everybody that make it possible for everyone to pick up lost tools and use it. My dream is to see it in the hands of every American child and see the thinking change in the conversations. The Lord remember you in his kingdom.